Good morning, everyone. I'm sitting in the Jean-Pierre restaurant by the window seat. This is a window I've walked by thousands of times over the past 20 years and seen people sitting in here eating in one of the most prominent and prestigious restaurants in Palm Beach. And I would always look in the window and think, when will this be part of our synagogue? And thank God, this week on Friday, we're going to close on the purchase of this property to extend and expand our synagogue. You know, there's an expression that some people say, never will this ever happen. And then we say never. You never know when Hashem will grant you the opportunity to make your dreams come true. And for our community, this is a dream come true. And it's so appropriate that we're going to close on Lag BaOmer, which is on Friday, but today is the second Passover. And the message of this holiday called Pesach Sheni, the second Passover, is never say never. Because there were a group of Jews who were not able to observe the first Passover. And they came to Moshe Rabbeinu. And they said, we were not able to observe the first Passover. We would like to be given a second chance. And Moshe spoke to God, and God said, fine, 30 days after the first Passover, which is today, they can bring the Paschal offering and observe their Passover Seder. And today we remember Pesach Sheni, which is in the Torah, by eating matzah on this day to commemorate the second Passover. But the question is, why is this the only holiday that there's a second opportunity? Why isn't there a second Rosh Hashanah for those who didn't hear the shofar on the first Rosh Hashanah, or a second Yom Kippur for those who didn't fast on the first one? Or why isn't there a second holiday of Sukkot, 30 days after Sukkot, for those who didn't build a sukkah and shake the lulav and esrog? And the answer is very obvious, that the Jews didn't ask about any other holidays. They only asked about this holiday. And as they say, seek and you will find, ask and you will receive. If you show God that you want a second chance in life, you will be granted it. And therefore, you should never give up on your dreams and your hopes, and never say never. In life, it's so true, especially in three areas. Many times you find people who their marriage hits the rocks. God forbid there could even be infidelity. But sometimes couples say, you know what? We want a second chance on building a loving marriage. We're not going to head for a divorce. Let's see if we can find love again and get a second chance at a good marriage. And they work harder and create a more beautiful marriage than ever. There are many Jews I know who didn't grow up with a Jewish education, but instead of saying, well, I'm a grown adult now, it's too late for me to learn about my heritage, they go and start learning and connecting to Judaism, and they find a meaningful Jewish life, even though they were not raised or taught that in their childhood. And finally, in relationships, there are many people who have falling outs with family members, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, children even, God forbid. But at some point they say, we can't go on like this. I have to reach out. I have to swallow my pride. I have to ask for forgiveness. I have to say I'm sorry and rebuild our loving relationship. And so this day is a very profound day. It teaches us one of the most important lessons of life. And that is, where there is life, there is hope. And therefore, never say never. Always realize there's a Pesach Sheni, there's a second opportunity, as long as we want it. As someone once told me that when they went into rehab, they were told, don't ever say the word I can't. Instead of saying I can, say, I just don't want it bad enough. I'll tell you a story that happened to a woman in our congregation. She had never gotten married and met her soulmate later in life. And she was getting married. And when we were talking about the wedding, she told me about a sibling who she had not spoken to in decades. And she wasn't planning on inviting to the wedding. And I encouraged her to reach out at this happy occasion and make peace with her sister by inviting her to the wedding. Well, she did that. And sure enough, her sibling came to the wedding, and they reignited a relationship that was interrupted for decades. And they created the most beautiful relationship. And she would often tell me, I'm so blessed that I was able to reconnect with my sister and get to know her family and her children after so many years of not being in contact. Well, just recently her sister was diagnosed with cancer and passed away. And while she's tragically mourning the loss of her beloved sibling, she says constantly, and she even spoke about this publicly at a kiddush, and that's why I feel like it's okay to repeat the story. She told the story and she said the greatest blessing was that I took the opportunity 2 years ago to get to know my sister again, because how much more tragic this would be, losing my sister and not even having known her for the last decades of her life. And so if there's someone that you haven't spoken to in a long time, whether a friend or a family member, this day says to each and every one of us, it's never too late to try again. And therefore, we must seize this opportunity and every opportunity in life to make up for those opportunities that we missed out on. Because Pesach Sheni reminds us that while there may be only one opportunity, there's no second chance to make a first impression, as they say. It's never too late to leave a meaningful and impressionable life. Have a wonderful day and Chag Sameach.